Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare. I paid off her credit cards when we were dating and she cried for me being so nice. It was only like $1,300. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. Rich people of Reddit who married someone significantly poorer. What surprised you about their previous way of life? Number 1. One of the things that surprised me about my partner who was significantly poorer than me was how he made his financial decisions based around the 3 paycheck months. If you're paid every 2 weeks, most months you get 2 paychecks, and all of your monthly bills and budgeting is based on those 2 paychecks. But twice a year there are 3 paydays in a month, and that's when you can actually solve problems. That's when you can get the car registered, or fix the dryer, or get the cat spayed. The other 10 months you're doing maintenance and trying to scrape by. 3 paycheck months you can actually try to fix problems. Number 2. Commenter. The prevailing mindset in his community growing up that insurance was something only rich people had. Not health insurance, mind you, well, not just health insurance. Auto insurance. Going without it was a way of life for most everyone he knew. Person B. My husband has to constantly remind me that I can go to the doctor whenever I need to instead of just hoping I don't die. Person C. When my husband and I were first dating, he took me to the eye doctor because, as I mentioned, I couldn't see the blackboard in class. When I went outside with my new glasses I almost started crying. I didn't know you could see individual leaves on trees from a distance or blades of grass. Number 3. I was adopted at age 7. I lived in extreme poverty and then all of a sudden I lived with a doctor who bought gifts for birthdays and Christmas. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you could go to the store to get food. I just thought you went to the church and had to pray before they gave you a bag of food. Number 4. When the family had people over for dinner, if they ended the prayer before the meal with F. H. B. Amen. It was a signal to let the children know that they don't have enough food for everyone, so take smaller servings and let the guests get a regular serving. FHB equals family, hold back. They were always generous to their friends and didn't let their lack of funds embarrass themselves when doing so. Number 5. Honestly, food insecurity. When we were first married she would get visibly uneasy if the food in the house was running low. She never overrated or anything, she was just always concerned about it. A lot of times when she was younger, she went hungry. On the humorous side though, she hates camping. Her answer is always the same: I camped because it was fun. She camped because they couldn't afford hotels. Number 6. I get giddy with excitement after grocery shopping trips. It just feels so good to have enough food. Though I still have to constantly remind myself I'm allowed to eat it if I'm hungry. I'm a grown-up. I bought it. Food and snacks. We were never allowed to snack between meals and never bought anything extra that wasn't absolutely necessary. My husband had to teach me, you buy something tasty that you don't actually need, and then you can just eat it whenever you feel like. Amazing. I still don't really do it, but it's nice to know I can. Number 7. She and her mother lived with her grandfather to not be homeless because her grandfather owned a house. She was putting community college payments on her credit card and building debt with it. I paid off her credit cards when we were dating and she cried for me being so nice. It was only like $1,300. I bought a condo, then we got married, then we bought a house. I never really considered myself rich until I started dating her and learned that a trip to Wendy's was a treat. I grew up middle class, and we are currently middle class, hey. Number 8. I grew up working class, dad's a welder, mom stayed at home with us, and eating out, even just at McDonald's, was a huge treat. But now that I'm on my own and making money, I can have that treat every day if I want. My fiancé recently pointed this out to me and I'm working on it, but that habit is so damn hard to break. Number 9. More of a funny incident, but I was the poor one. My husband, at the time still my boyfriend, took me out to a very nice restaurant. Waiter asked if I wanted pepper on my Caesar salad that was just made tableside. I said sure and he goes about it. Thing is, I didn't know you had to say stop. My husband slowly realizes this, but decides to see it play out. He did eventually say that I need to say stop. I just thought a Caesar salad was this way as it was my first time even eating a salad that wasn't just iceberg and ranch dressing. It still tasted fine, just a little bit too much pepper, haha. Number 10. Commenter, sandwiches. When I made him a sandwich I only put one thin slice of meat in it. He couldn't believe that was how I had sandwiches growing up. Person B, growing up, We weren't allowed to just eat deli slices, it had to go between 2 pieces of bread because that would fill you up faster and save on meat costs. Person C, your comment just opened up a huge window into my husband for me. He's always railing against me for letting the kids eat lunch meat slices straight from the bag, and I've always wondered what the big deal was. You just made me connect this to his poor childhood. Number 11. I am not well off, but my stepfather is. I was raised by a single mom who spent money on everything and bills were always behind. She just couldn't manage her money at all. In her 50s she met and married a multimillionaire. We are in middle America, so that goes further than maybe in a lot of areas. They have given themselves $10,000 a month budget to live on, living on interest. Own their home. Anyway, once my mom met him and they got all her finance situated and paid off, she won't spend a penny. He spends like it is going out of style. He has actually begged me to take her shopping to get clothes and accessories. She won't do it. She spent more when she was a single mom with nothing. It makes no sense to me. At least buy a new outfit. She is hell-bent to not use a penny of his money. They barely even have any groceries. If they have anything, it is because he buys it for them. She is a retired nurse that gets a retirement in SS, but she won't spend anything. She lives poorer now than any other time in her life. Number 12. Commenter. I fell in love with my university best friend who really didn't have any money. When I got a job, for my birthday I decided to plan a holiday and offered to bring him along. He doesn't know I'm in love with him at all, but maybe I should tell him. Person B. I really feel this one. My family did maybe 2 vacation type trips in 18 years of growing up, and both of those were to places relatively close by, few hours of driving. If it wasn't for a couple of school-sponsored trips, I probably would have never left my region of the US until I was an adult, and I still haven't left the country. I remember in college, there was a school-sponsored trip for a class I was taking that involved air travel. The look on another student's face when I told him I'd never flown before was absolutely priceless. Now, as an adult with a middle-class white-collar job, it still boggles my mind to listen to coworkers talk about all the trips and cruises they take and talk about flying to Disneyland for just a weekend getaway. I can't get myself into the mindset of someone who can actually afford to travel now, because it just hasn't been a part of my life at all. Number 13. I'm from an upper middle-class American family and my husband is from a poor SE Asian family. It is hard for me to wrap my head around how poor they really were when he was growing up. He told me about eating only rice with sugar for meals because they couldn't afford meat. They were probably living off less than 50 cents per day for a family of 5 at times. Number 14. My husband came from a very poor Mexican village. He told me he used to shower outside, because there was no in-house plumbing, and used leaves as toilet paper. I mean, there's poor, and there's my husband's previous life poor. He's been living in the US for 12 years now, but when we first met it was so interesting seeing life through his childlike eyes. Going to the cinema was a huge event for him. Heating food up in a microwave was a totally foreign concept. And staying at fancy hotels when we went on vacation was like whoa. Number 15. Commenter. Hamburger Helper. She hates it because it would be her meal 5x a week growing up. I had never even seen HH before I went to college and loved that stuff. 10 for $10 deals are awesome. Person B. My foster daughter was the same way with pasta. She ate so much of it, before we got her, that she hated it. The first meal I made for her on her first night with us. Pasta. She didn't say a word and ate her dinner, but later I found out she didn't like pasta because of how much of it she had eaten before. I always took her grocery shopping so she could pick out stuff she liked. After that, she was shocked when she found out red delicious apples weren't the only variety out there. I think she overdosed on Honeycrisp apples when I first introduced them to her. Number 16. My husband grew up in a family where they were comfortable but on a strict budget. 6 kids and mom on disability. My family had no budget. One day we were at the grocery store. He always insists on walking up and down every aisle. I finally lost it because he was taking so long and asked him why he did it. Growing up we could only spend $100 a week on groceries for all of us. I always had to put what I wanted back because we couldn't afford it. Now I can afford whatever I want, so I like to look at everything I could have. Took him 10 years to tell me this. I felt like a terrible person. We live in a city with an extremely high cost of living. It's in the top 30 in the world. Getting a family of 4 fed for that much weekly would be a huge stretch here, and his family did an amazing job. Number 17. Commenter. I was with a girl for a while who grew up in a pretty broken home. Still surprises me just how bad her spending habits are. She racks up credit card debt like it's nothing. Person B, same. Had an ex like that, and she told me that she needed me to hold on to the money she earned because she would buy stupid shit with it. Her family also spent money stupidly. Her mom would spend every day sleeping until whenever, smoking about a pack a day, and drive about 5 to 7 miles round trip in a Ford pickup truck for her twice daily coffee milkshake from Starbucks. Eventually they had to file for bankruptcy, and she was still dumb with money. She would literally shop at the convenience store for groceries. 2-pack toilet paper for $1, other random things for 3-4x the amount. Number 18. My parents were stingy with the air conditioning, and I just didn't understand it. Growing up, we lived with the windows wide open from late April to mid-September, North Georgia mountains, and the attic fan running during the day and early evening. We also didn't have heat. Just 2 wood-burning stoves. Even now, since installing central heating and air, my parents still rarely use them and insist on raising the windows in the spring and summer and building fires in the stoves during the fall and winter. When I started dating my now husband in college and went to his parents' house for the first time to meet them, their central AC broke, so we went out to dinner instead of staying in. It was May and breezy outside, and I asked why we didn't just open up the windows. They all just sort of looked at me, and finally his dad chuckled and said something like, "Yeah, we could, but we don't have any screens on the windows, so we'll be dining with some mosquitoes and other insects if we did that. They live on a lake." We got to talking about their lack of screens, and my concurrent shock, and that was how I found out, at the age of 22, that some people purposely don't screen their houses, for aesthetic reasons. My mother-in-law, bless her souls, thinks they're ugly, and why would you need to open the windows? You have AC. To me, that seemed like true privilege. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.